So in coming up with video concepts for vlogs, I started to look at things I really like in my books. And well, that led to this gigantic stack. And I mean, gigantic. Let's try this again. But these are all books I really like that have school settings. And so in learning how much I love a school setting, I gotta put that down. I thought, why not read books with school settings for a vlog? It's back to school soon too, so it feels like the perfect time to get into the academia themes and vibes because, you know, back to school. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna test how much I love school setting books. Does it always work for me? I mean, I looked at my shelves and I'm not sure there's one on here that like wasn't at least a 3-star. I do think it typically always works for me for some reason. So we're going to test that theory today. I have 3 picked out depending on how this goes. It could be more. I'm not putting restrictions on this vlog because I'm just ready to have a really good reading experience and reading time and not really worry too much about everything else. I need some 5 stars in my life. So I picked out these 3 books. And I'm really excited to get to them. The first book you will see is The Will of the Many by James Islington, who is a author I have read from before. I read Licanius, which did not work for me. I guess you could argue that there's a school setting in Licanius, but it's for like 50 pages, so I don't think it counts. I'm kind of nervous because, well, considering I really disliked the Licanius trilogy, why am I picking this up? But at the same time, I'm kind of excited because I've noticed lately I'm more of a book person and not an author person. Almost all of my favorite series are written by authors who I also dislike a series from them. So I'm hoping that this will happen where I disliked Licanius, but I absolutely fall in love and adore The Will of the Many. I really don't know what this is about. I know we follow our main character who was a prince in a rival nation, and that nation ends up being conquered by our big nation. Our prince ends up on a quest for revenge, and he ends up as a spy at the academy. That's as far as I know so far, but I'm excited to try this one. I also really like how like simple but like elegant this cover is. The next book is Blood Song by Anthony Ryan, a book that's been on my TBR for a really long time, so I'm excited to get to it. I know we follow our main character, who was kind of orphaned again. He is sent to this order by his father. His father is the king of the realm, and when he loses his mother, his father ships him off and says, pretty much, you're no longer mine, follow the order. There you go. And we follow our main character again, who is kind of on a quest for revenge and retribution, I believe. And we just know that his destiny is going to not only change the realm, but the entire world. And I'm really excited to see that happen. This one is more of a military training academy, which I count as a school setting because we're still learning things. It's just not your typical, like, lectures. You're instead learning swordplay and how to kill people. But I mean, I like a little stabby stab in my books, so I'm very excited for this one. And then the last one is Combat Codes. I actually had no clue this had a school setting until I was kind of looking for some, and I already owned this one and I'm excited. I think it's not like your typical school setting. Again, I think it's like a training setting, but I will count it. So I'm excited to try this one. This was originally self-published but picked up recently by Orbit, and I'm very excited. I love that indie's getting a bit of a spotlight and being picked up these days because there's so many unique and interesting stories in the indie and self-pub world that I really want traditional publishing to lean towards. So I'm very excited for this one. I know that it's very light on the fantasy, and I know it has a little bit of sci-fi, I believe, in it. I know when it wasn't SBFBO, it did get docked marks for not being fully fantasy, so I'm expecting that going in. I'm expecting it to be light on the fantasy, but I'm really hoping to enjoy it. I don't know anything. We follow a character who's on the hunt to find his next champion, and I think he does so in the rings, like the battle rings, you know, like boxing rings type situation. He believes Seago has what it takes to thrive in the world's most prestigious combat academy. Okay, it literally says on the back that it's a school setting. How did I miss this? Obviously, I didn't read the back of this book fully. Anyways, we're following a character going into a combat academy, and survival isn't guaranteed. I'm sold. I'm in. 3 books with school settings, 3 books I'm excited about, and let's just see how my thoughts go and see if school settings really are just an automatic at least 3-star from me. Hello, welcome to the vlog. I just started The Will of Many. I took the dust jacket off because I'm reading it, and I'm intrigued. I'm a chapter in, I'm intrigued, I'm excited. The writing feels a little bit more polished to me already than it did in Licanius, so I'm definitely excited to keep going. I do have a wedding that I'm about to leave for in about 30 minutes, so I probably won't get a lot of this done today. However, just wanted to let you know that my excitement is here. I already kind of like what is happening and I'm intrigued to continue. I have made some progress in The Will of the Many. I'm on chapter 7, which is page 70, so I've made a decent amount of progress. We're not at the school setting yet, but I'm very excited to get there. I am intrigued. I am enjoying it. The writing style so far seems to work for me. It is in first person, and I think I actually am enjoying it with... Okay. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. I'm trying to film. You see that? I'm trying to do that. Hello? Okay, we're gonna film with you here. I don't remember what I was saying. It is in first person, and so far that is really working for me. I think with the writing style, being in a character's head specifically seems to work for me because it makes me more understanding of the things a character knows and doesn't know and what we're supposed to know versus having a more omniscient narrator. I do see some comparisons in the storytelling aspects of this and Lycanius. However, this is 100% working for me, and Lycanius obviously didn't. I think one of those aspects is not knowing things and our characters really not knowing how a lot works. However, in Lycanius, I felt like the author didn't actually know these things yet, and that's why we didn't know these things. However, in this story, I feel like it's very normal in the system that our character is in for this character to not know things, and somehow the way it's written makes me feel like it's well plotted, where in Lycanius I really struggled with that because I just felt like I was being told that I'll find things out later. And I think in this one I'm getting a good amount of knowledge about the world and the magic system up front. Like I think I'm okay not knowing everything because it is kind of a mystery a little bit about what's going on. So yeah, this is working for me so far. I haven't made to the school setting. I'm intrigued. So far we've met our main character, who is the son of a rival nation at some point, but that was conquered, and then when it was conquered he was supposed to be murdered, but he ended up just going into like the system. It's almost like an unknown and not put like completely into the system until he stumbled into an orphanage because he was starving. And at this orphanage he's kind of grown up a little bit since then. At this point in the story he is 17. We've seen him in a couple cool places. We've seen the magic used kind of cool. The will is the magic system, and the will is kind of like your energy is how I look at it, and you like seed your will to other people, so you give your energy to other people for them to then use as like magic or abilities and like imbued into things. There's like a whole system of seeding. So like you seed to one person who has like 5 people seeding to them, and then that one person who has 5 people seeding to them seeds to someone else. And so there's like almost like a pyramid scheme, and I think that's like really kind of cool. I'm really intrigued. I want to know more about like the politics in the world. I think we're setting up some really cool politics, especially with why our main character is going to this school, because he's going to be a spy and to figure things out. I think I might struggle a little bit with like the fact that he has no like motivations really to be at this school, because he's going in as a spy but like doesn't really know what he's spying for. So like I could struggle a little bit with that because I'm not sure if our character will have a real direction. However, I don't know that at this time. So I'm excited to see where this goes. I hope I continue to like it. So far, so good. Good morning. I am on my way to my sister's to let her dog out. She works long hours some days, so I let her dog out for her so that he can go do his business. I'm gonna get Starbucks because I have some points that are going to expire. I also have a new Starbucks gift card I got from a client. And well, before I start driving, I figured I'd update you on The Will of the Many because I'm here. I'm almost at 50%. I'm flying through this story, like flying through it. It is really working for me the way this is written, in the POV style, in our main character, the setting, the world building. Everything is just vibing with me perfectly, and I'm loving that. Part 1 is not at the school setting, and part 2 starts on 217, so the first 200 pages are not at the school setting, which was very shocking to me because I feel like most school setting books, you're at the school setting pretty quickly. And obviously I was reading this for a school setting vlog, so I was expecting the school setting to come into place so quickly because it's one of the, like, the first things people say about this book, I feel like, is that it's at a school setting. And it definitely is. We spent 200 pages getting to know the world and the plot and our main character, and I really, really enjoyed that. It made me really understand our main character and his motivations and who he is. I think that he is a very strong main character. I find him very smart. He's not just making the dumbest decisions all the time. Every once in a while he makes a dumb decision, but you understand why he made that, and that's like my favorite type of character, is just a character that I understand so completely that like I agree with all their decision making. And I think that he is perceptive, which really works well because he's noticing a lot of the things in the story. Instead of it just feeling like the author is telling us things, the character literally feels like he's like noticing these small things that we're also supposed to notice. So the writing style really working for me. The main character really working for me. I just like understand him and his loyalty, and I think that he's a character I can really believe in and root for because I understand his motivations so well in terms of like who he is. I really can root for everything he does. I don't know. Enough about that. Let's talk about the school setting, because like obviously this is a school setting vlog. I love school settings, like pretty much an instant star. I'm only on page 260, so like I've only been at the school setting for a little bit. However, I'm already like loving it because something I really enjoy about a school setting done well is how it reflects society, and I think that this school setting really does that. So we're seeing a smaller version of society as a whole, and it makes you kind of be able to understand politics and stuff of the world because you're seeing it in like a smaller quantity. And then when we later on expand on that, we will be able to grasp how the outside world is, because it's just a bigger version of a school setting. And you definitely see it in here in terms of like the politics and the setup. In this school setting, you start at like 7th class, actually I think it's 8th class, and you work your way up, all the way up, and you see the quantity of people in each class resembles outside and how the outside magic system and world building and politics work, because an 8th class has the most amount of people, just like in real society. That's like the lowest class. The lowest class tends to have the most quantity of people. We go up a level and there's a little bit less, up a level and there's less than that, up a level, and then it makes a pyramid. And as I talked earlier, this book's magic system is like a pyramid scheme, which really, if you think about it, government, politics, all of that, especially in like more like totalitarian states, is a pyramid scheme. Yeah, so I think it's really cool to see the school is reflecting the outside pyramid, and we're seeing like the politics inside the school, which will also reflect the outside. Like the top of the chain is the top of chain, and they benefit off the bottom people, and they get to control the bottom people, and like all of this, and they don't really like talk to the bottom people. They don't really know what, you know? I think the only difference is that obviously in this that they work their way up, and in like real life society they don't work their way up, because like part of the point of this school is to figure out who deserves the better placement in the world. So the better you do in the school, the better your placement is in terms of like the pyramid of life. I don't know. I'm just really enjoying this at this point. I don't really know exactly where the story is going, but I'm enjoying my time with the story. I'm going to try to update you probably around like 400, and then again when it ends. I think at 400 I should have a better grasp on everything that like is going to go down. Let's go get some Starbucks.
Hey.
Hi, can I get a grande cold brew?
Sure, grande cold brew.
Can I add 2 pumps of white mocha to that?
Okay.
And then get sweet cream on top, sweet cream cold foam on top with 2 pumps of cinnamon dolce.
In the foam?
Yeah.
Alright.
And that's everything. Another day, another Starbucks drink to try off of a secret menu.
$0.
Perfect. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye. And a taste test. That's really good, but it is really sweet. I even made it less sweet, but there you go if you want to screenshot it. I do like it. It's sweet, but I like it. Guys, I'm page 274. We're in the labyrinth right now. If you know, you know. It's so good. I'm literally stressed. I can feel my heart racing at this scene. I love this. Like, this is so good. A fair system only works when there is an unbiased means of assessing merit, which means that a fair system cannot exist where people are involved. The depth of this line and this discussion that we're having about politics and a system that judges people and how the world works, it is incredible. Chef's kiss. I'm obsessed. I stayed up quite late last night. I had to watch the Taylor Swift last tour, so I watched it like live streamed on TikTok because obviously we knew 1989 was going to be announced, so I wanted to see the announcement. I wanted to see the surprise songs. I was excited for them. I love that they both started with New last night. New Romantics and New Year's Day was played, and I'm actually not a big New Year's Day fan, but her singing it on the piano last night was beautiful. I liked it actually a lot more than New Romantics, and I am a New Romantics fan, but I just didn't love the acoustic set as much for New Romantics. I am a piano sucker though. Like, I love a good ballad on a piano. Anyways, she wore like stunning blue outfits. Her new blue dress for the surprise songs, stunning. I loved it so much. I want that dress. I mean, Taylor Swift can pull off anything. If you're not a Taylor Swift fan, since I am in a epic fantasy vlog, y'all are probably not Taylor Swift fans, but like, I don't know, I am. So there you go. Put my coffee down. I stayed up late and like I watched the concert while reading. I just kind of like put it on in the background and like picked it up whenever something important was happening that I cared about. So like if there was a new outfit change or if she was like talking to the fans and like surprise songs I watched. And I watched the 1989 like portion because it was a 1989 filled night. So I was reading while I was doing this and I got quite far, about to page 400. I'm still loving this. I'm literally eating it up so much. I'm overexposed. What is new? And I'm just flying through it. I can't lie, like I do not want to put this book down. At all times I just like, I'm like, I have to go to bed. I can't just keep reading all night, which is such a good sign and a sign to me of a 5-star read. So I'm shocked that this is such a hit for me because I almost did not buy it. Like I was so close to just being like, I shouldn't try it. I didn't like Lycanius. And like, thank the Lord I did because I'm obsessed. I just think that there's so much going on in this world, but where I felt like that was a negative to Lycanius, it's such a positive for me in this one. It's like very, very action-packed. Things are never slowing down. Like we always have new things happening, but it works. It really, really does work because all the things feel cohesive and there's just so many different people on the table. Like if we're playing chess, there's so many people moving this one piece, which is our main character, that the constant battle, the constant things happening really, really makes sense to the story and work for me. So overall, I'm just enjoying this. I think that this is setting up like some of the coolest and politics I've seen. Some really well done politics in my opinion, with like the 3 different like rivalries within the hierarchy and just like also the discussions we're getting on government and power. And I mean, that's something I love in stories, is discussions on power corrupting and rights versus wrongs and the gray area in between. I think this book is doing all of that so well. I wanted to update you saying that I'm still loving this, and I can't really tell you more than I did earlier about like what the story is about because I feel like it's like a spoiler to tell you what things are about, other than like he's just a spy looking for some things, and at this point we have found some things and the discoveries he's making are so interesting in my opinion. I'm just like so curious about how everything works and how everything's going to come together at the end. And also I do love the side characters, which like they don't get a lot of time on screen, and I'm not sure I can say that they're like the most developed side characters, but for some reason they're really working for me. And I'm sad because I just know that someone's gonna betray someone at some point. There's someone who I think it is, and I don't want it to be that person because I kind of love them, but it makes sense. And I just like, chef's kiss. Very much enjoying the story. I think you won't get an update till the end unless like I fangirl over something tonight on Sprints. I really love Amissa and this scene where they're training and then they're speaking in the language that she's not supposed to know, and then they're talking about her and like calling her beautiful, and then she ends up knowing the language. Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. My heart. I've been sitting like this for 2 minutes. This book. This literal book. Ugh. I love it so much. I finished this last night. I stayed up till midnight. I read it, finished it, and then I just like couldn't sleep because I was just thinking about it all night long. I gave it 5 stars. I I think that was pretty obvious from this video how much I was enjoying my time with this. So of course it had to get 5 stars. I do want to say I think it probably technically deserves a 4-star. Like, I do have issues with it. There were things that I personally do have complaints about. The ending I'm a little unsure about. However, my attachment to what was going on, the pure bliss I had reading, the feeling of just not ever wanting to put this book down is what is giving it a 5-star for me. It is the overall emotions that I had, the fun time I had reading this. At the end of the day, I rate books on my enjoyment with like a little bit of like obviously like technical skills in there as well, but my enjoyment definitely plays a really large role, so I am giving it a 5-star. I think that there are some really interesting concepts. I really like that we have a magic system that is complex and really a part of the world building. Like, the whole world building revolves around this magic system, but our main character cannot and does not use that magic system. Like, I just thought that was so cool and could have been really boring, but was done so well because although he didn't use it, he wanted to understand it. We still got to like understand how the magic system worked because our main character was always curious and asking questions. And I just like really loved that. And I'm shocked. I'm literally shocked. Like, how does an author who I gave the entire series about 1 star, like, it's no secret, I did not like Lycanius at all. I only read it for backlist. Otherwise it would have been DNF'd. Give the next book a 5-star. Like, this is a 5-star. Like, I thoroughly had so much fun. And I can tell you that there are so many similarities. James Adlington is the writer he is, and I see it in the story. I see it in the story. I see it in his archetypes that he likes, the tropes he chooses, the way his stories tend to lean. However, I enjoyed it in this. There are scenes that I read in this and I was like, ooh, if this wasn't Lycanius, I would tear this apart. Like, I would be in the live show being like, this was terrible, but I'm living for it in this book. And I think that just like goes to show how much like connection and enjoyment of a read really does matter. I just did not connect to characters in Lycanius. I did not enjoy the world building. It didn't work for me, and this did. I'm kind of crapping on Lycanius just to tell you how much I loved this. I just think that this was so well plotted, which like people argue about Lycanius too. So if you were a Lycanius lover, you're also gonna love this, but I'm just here to tell you, if you didn't love Lycanius, you could be like me and literally love and adore this. Some of my complaints are, I think, as much as I loved the side characters, I kind of wish we got a little bit more personality from them. We do have a few moments in this too where our main character is like too smart for his own good, but I also think that's kind of like part of the setup of the world, and most notably the ending just scares me. The ending of this book is terrifying because it could be really cool, but it also is something that could go astray for me really easily. So I'm just a little bit nervous about where the next books are gonna go, but I'm also excited because I think it could be really cool if done well. I don't have anything to say. I mean, I have 2 tabs in here. I did tab 2 things. I can't really say these out loud because they're so far into the book, but there's a little bit of spoilers, but I just think the discussion on society and people who make neutral decisions in order to not make a bad decision, like if you're not choosing a side, that is still a statement, especially when one side is in control. And then this tab is just pulled on my heartstrings. Like, I was on sprints and everyone was laughing at me go all the time because I really enjoyed this. I don't know if it's a book for everyone. It's really fast paced. There's so much that happens. We're not slowing down. It's not like a slow character moment book. However, I would say it is a character focused book at the same time. I don't know how to explain that to you. It's just like a lot of things happen, but you're spending it all in your character's head and you really get to know him. So I think if he doesn't work for you as a character, this story won't work for you. However, if he does, I think it really will work for you regardless, because I just think it's so cool. I really loved the politics of the school. I really liked the labyrinth. I liked the last final test, but I will say things just seem to come too easily to our main character at times. He is a little bit all-powerful, even though he's not, and I'm looking to see him struggle a little bit more in book 2. And I think that'll happen because I think this book is set up to almost make him feel a little bit more all-powerful because of the training he gets and the situation he's in. I just feel like I'm rambling, but like at the end of the day, I just need to tell you, like, I really loved this book. Like, I cannot wait for book 2. I wish it was already out. I literally went to Goodreads to check if it had a release date. It doesn't, but it does have a title. let's get into the next read. I'm ready to read the next book because I'm on a high. Okay, I have started Bloodsong. I'm not that far in. I'm only about 50 pages in. However, I'm loving it. I literally am so intrigued by what's going to happen. We've had a good amount of setup of just like our characters and the world building, and again some of the politics, but I like love this training setting quite a bit. And within these first 50 pages we get it's not a trope, but like a thing that a lot of school settings do, and it's something I absolutely love, and it's when they put the kids into like a test and they drop them in the middle of nowhere and they have to get home and they have to survive and they're not supposed to help each other and something always goes wrong. And I just like vibe so much with that like little thing that school settings do. It's one of my favorite things a school setting can do. This one happens pretty early on in the story, which normally I feel like it's like their final test, but I loved it and it made like so much sense. And like what happens during that test is so intriguing with like the wolf. And yeah, I'm only 50 pages in, so I feel like I'm not spoiling anything. And I just like, I don't know, I really love the way it's told. It's like a story looking back, which is another thing I tend to like, and I'm really just liking the military training. Like, this is not like your school setting in terms of like learning, but it's like a military training academy, and I love that the brotherhood that's gonna happen. I think I know where this book is heading in terms of like prologue to the rest. Like, obviously I think we're seeing a friendship being bonded that like, which ends up leading to what happens in the prologue. I'm trying not to give anything away. And I just think that this is going to be a really interesting read. And I think I really love our main character already. Again, he's just like a smart character. I think this is why I like school settings, is it often sets up a smarter character because you can see them be smart. You can see them outrank other people in the society almost. Seeing them be trained to think certain ways, so it helps understand their judgments better. And I really think that that's doing it here, and I'm really, really intrigued just by like the setup that we've gotten. So yeah, I'm gonna keep reading. Running outside to get myself some vegetables for dinner. It's so wet! Oh, my sock! I forgot to record what I made for dinner, but I just made soup with some like garden vegetables and some leftover ground pork that we had in the fridge and some like instant noodles. I'm also wearing my Battleathon t-shirt. If you don't know, there is a really awesome readathon happening in September called Battleathon that I am co-hosting. Join Team Red for the chaotic energy and to be the winning team. The recruits of Team Red are gonna win. So you should definitely check that out. I'll leave the link down below. It's hosted by Mel over at Mel Reads. So link down in the description bar. Not that you need it. Everyone knows who Mel is and you're already signed up to Team Red. Anyways, I have made it to about 100 pages, 120 pages into Bloodsong, and I figured I would update you with a little bit of what this book is about, because I didn't do that earlier. We're following our main character whose mother dies, and his father ends up abandoning him at this like military academy. It's called like the Sixth Order. He's expected to be trained and hardened and to give up anything about his like birthright. Turns out that his birthright is actually probably to be ruler of the land, and it kind of sets him on a quest of revenge, and he holds no nice feelings to his father who left him at these gates at 10 years old. And we're just following him at this moment in time train in the school, but we also have a really cool prologue that kind of sets up where the story is going, and I think it's going to be like such a revenge story, and it is told in a story type setting, kind of, sort of, maybe. That was a terrible explanation, but that's what I got for you 120 pages in. I'm still loving it. There is an animal companion that right now I literally adore, and if anything happens to him, I'm gonna cry. So if I'm crying later, I'm sorry. I spoiled it for you if I'm crying later, because I love them. We have some leftover ground pork from tacos that I've just been kind of using up. Is this necessary? That I've just been using up for dinners, so I think I'm gonna try and make myself some sort of stir fry. It's actually lunchtime, but I'm hungry. Just give it a little stir to get all the noodles in the sauce. This is really hard to do one-handed. I use instant noodles, so they definitely like stick together a little bit more, but you can see all like the good stuff over here, and I'm really excited to dive into this. It's going to be delicious. Okay. I can't tell you exactly like where I am in the book because I don't have the book with me. I just had a long drive, so I listened to the audiobook. Roughly 40% in, and I just had a couple quick updates I think about it. My thoughts so far is I'm still enjoying it. However, I do think it's running a little bit too fast for me. Like things just like keep happening, and we're really like rushing through the timeline of this kid's history in order to get to the spot that we are at the beginning of the book. And I'm just like not connecting completely to the character or like the side characters, but there are like so many really cool, interesting things that are happening within the story. I really liked that we have a school setting because our character's in like the 6th order, and then there's other orders, like there's 1 through 5 still, and we have a point in their training where they go off and they choose what other order they want to learn at, and so our main character goes and trains in another order. And I thought it was really cool to kind of see, obviously like it's like one big encompassing religion that they follow, but there's like different aspects of it. So there's like healing, fighting, knowledge, things like that. And so we're seeing our main character go somewhere else to like learn some more stuff to help him succeed later on. And I really like that. I do like a lot of things happening. I'm still kind of like putting my thoughts on like the magic system. Like so far there hasn't been much magic or anything like that, but I'm enjoying it. But I'm not like I don't feel the 5-star vibes from this one. However, I'm still really, really enjoying it and curious about what's going to happen. Like I don't want to just like stop reading it ever. Like I do want to continue reading it whenever I put it on. Yeah, that's it. I'm off to work now. So it's been a while since I updated you on Bloodsong, and I have read quite a bit. I have about 100 pages left, so I'm almost at the end. I just feel like I didn't have a lot to update you on in this book. It is a very fast-paced story. Things are happening constantly, and we are jumping time every once in a while, just like small jumps, and they make sense because we're just going from like life moment to life moment to life moment to life moment of our main character's story. And I am enjoying it. Like, I really, really like the world building. I'm intrigued by the magic system. I don't fully know how it works, but it's one of those just like, you're born with it, you can do it magic systems, but it's not bothering me because it's really cool and it's kind of like a mystery. It's called the Dark, and some people wield it, and it's actually like seen as bad in the society, but like there's also secrets around it, which I think is really cool. And I am just enjoying the journey we're going on. Like I am having fun watching what is happening and seeing the little intrigue moments happen, because I think that there's a lot happening behind the scenes in this story that our main character is kind of like a pawn on the chessboard, and he's going this way and this way and this way and this way, and I'm enjoying that. I am just struggling with the characters. Anthony Ryan has a bit of a drier, point blank writing style, and it's not as emotional to me, so it makes it harder for me to connect to the characters and care that much about them. I care about what's happening in the story, but I don't necessarily care about the characters themselves. I felt this way in The Waking Fire too, that he had like a dry writing style, so it does scare me a little bit for The Pariah, which is still on my TBR, but The Waking Fire was multi-POV'd, and I think that's why that one really didn't work for me. And this one is just one POV, and it's like the telling of his story. So I think that's why this is working better for me, even with the drier writing style. And I know The Pariah also is one POV, so I'm still excited. I just had to like go on a little tangent about that. That had nothing to do with this book. Overall, still enjoying this. I'm really excited to see where it goes. We're definitely seeing pieces of the chessboard being moved to like get to that final match type style, and I'm just intrigued by like how that's all gonna wrap up and like the destiny that we see at the beginning happening, and just like overall still having really good vibes and good times with it, but the lack of connection to the characters will stop it from being a 5-star for me. It just like is something I can't completely look past, because my enjoyment would be so much better if I really truly cared about these characters. And like, it's not that I don't care about them, because like I still would care and I'm still interested in seeing what's happening to them and I'm rooting for them, but it's just not like, I don't know, like coming off The Will of the Many, like I rooted for that character. I really, really did. Like there was just like a connection. Like I don't know how to explain it, so I hope that makes sense to all of you. But yeah, I'm gonna finish this because I've been talking for too long already, and this was supposed to be a quick update. And I will see you when it's done. Overall, still really enjoying it, and I really like the school setting. Although we're out of the school setting at this point, and it's not as fun. I liked the school setting better. I finished Bloodsong. Bookmark can go bye-bye. This is one of Mel's Patreon bookmarks. I am very conflicted about my feelings. Very, very, very conflicted. Because, as I said, I had a really good time reading this. I flew through it. I wanted to read it at all times. I enjoyed my experience. But also, I thought some of it was kind of boring. And it's just like a weird dilemma to have, because how did I think that this was really enjoyable but also be bored at some points? I don't really know. I do know, actually. It's because this story is a character-driven, coming-of-age, brotherhood story. Very character-driven, and then the plot is just like weaved into like the small moments the characters have. So I was always interested by the plot. I always was intrigued to see where we were going next, how we were gonna like get like so much plot. And I just think the plot never fully came into this until like the very end, but it still like wasn't enough plot for me. So the ending just made me feel very underwhelmed. The ending was not what I wanted from this. This was not the story I think I entirely wanted. However, I still really enjoyed it, and I think I'm going to continue. I ended up giving this a 3-star, so my trend of 3-star school settings still works. I will say this book spans 15 years. The last half of this book is not in a school setting, only like the first half is. And why I think I'm still going to continue is this series is known for going downhill. Most people absolutely love this book and then say like the trilogy just goes downhill from there. Like people do not like the rest of the books. Like die-hard fans of this book don't love the series. But I looked at so many reviews. I was on Reddit. Most of the time, those same people are praising the characters in this, the brotherhood, the moments the characters had. Our main character is such a strong character that you rooted for. And in the second book, it goes to multi-POV'd, and they're saying the characters didn't really work for them. They lost interest. They wanted this character back. He didn't sound the same. That the characters were just boring in the next books. But because I thought the characters were kind of boring in this, I'm thinking maybe the characters will really work for me in the second book. And I'm just excited for the plot. Like, at the end of the day, I think it comes down to the story you want. And if you want a story about the characters, the brotherhood, and those moments, I think that this could really work for you. I wanted to know more about the dark, the magic, the politics, why we were doing things. And a lot of that was left to be a little bit of a mystery until the end of this and even going on into future books. And so I'm really intrigued to see how that happens and what happens there. I don't really care about what happens to this character and the people that we meet in this. So I'm like honestly excited to meet new characters in the next book. Overall, 3 stars. Still had a really good time. I definitely would recommend this. I think it'll be recommended as a school setting. Like I think that it was really interesting. I think that there's a lot of unique elements to this and a lot of things that really do make it a solid read. However, I do stand by that. I think that Anthony Ryan has a drier writing style that just might not work for people. It doesn't entirely work for me, I don't think, but I still enjoy it. It's just, I'm not sure his writing style is a 5-star writing style for me. However, I'm still going to try The Pariah and the rest of this series, and I'll get back to you after those because who knows. Nick and me are at the lake, and we had an experience today. For some reason, I was like, let's go for a walk. And like, take it, I'm not a like, let's go for a walk kind of gal. We're gonna have dogs. I typically am lazy. I want to sit on the couch with my book, have a good time. However, for some reason today, I was like, it's nice out. We have the dogs. Let's take them for a walk. So we went through the paths that are at my cabin, and it's like a private area, so the dogs are off leash, but like it is kind of like wilderness. But like we own shared land with all the other cabins, so they like know the gist. And we're walking, and the one dog doesn't come back at one of my calls earlier, and I'm like, dang it. And I had treats, so I shook it, she came, but I was like, oh, I can kind of smell skunk in the air now. But she didn't smell like skunk. We keep walking, we're just walking on a route. We're like, okay, we'll keep her kind of out of the forest and we'll walk away from this area because there could be a skunk over there. And we're walking, and we have this one path. We're at the T intersection. We're walking we're walking, we're gonna turn this way. All of a sudden I'm like, oh crap, we turned this way. This little baby skunk comes sprinting down the path right at us. It feels like it's like charging at us. In the end, I really think that it was just like on its own mission. And yeah, so we got attacked by a skunk is what I'm gonna say from now on. Like it came running at us. Nick takes off flying. His shoe fell off and his shoe is like next to the skunk now. I run, but I also am worried about the dogs because I didn't want either of them to get sprayed. So I am shaking the trees and yelling their names. Thankfully, no one fully got skunked. We think Porter got a little bit, just like the tiniest bit, or like just like even like in the air. We gave both dogs a bath just because it's stinky, and like once you smell skunk, you just never stop smelling it, with some dish soap because the dish soap will help get the skunk out. And then I just had a shower and Nick's in the shower currently. But now after all of this adventure, because like it's really funny because like it felt like the skunk was like charging at us, and we're so lucky it was like a little itty bitty one. If it had been a bigger one, it would have been faster and probably more reactive. So yeah, we're safe. All I'm smelling is skunk, but I'm pretty sure nothing actually smells like skunk, and it's just like all in my head now. But after all that excitement, I think it's time to curl up and start combat codes and get some reading done tonight. So I hope I love this because I definitely need some good news after my skunk attack. I can't believe it. I literally can't believe it. I wish Nick was here to tell you the story because he took off. He left me. He was like, fend for yourself. I'm not getting skunked. And I was like, but the dogs. Let's go read. Nico. Hi. I don't know. All I smell is
Ghost stories?
Yes, I'm gonna tell a ghost story. Would you like to tell one?
No, you.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie, have yet to pick this up, even though it's been a couple hours, but Nick and me are settling in to watch a movie for the night. And there's a wild porter's butthole. So yeah, see you probably tomorrow. Good morning / afternoon, actually. I made it to 100 pages into combat codes this morning. And I can tell you that there's something in a school setting. It could be crack, but I absolutely eat it up. Like I just have such a good time with school settings. They just work so well for me. Technically, we're not even in the school setting yet, but like the lead up to the school setting also just like works for me. Cause a lot of the times it's some sort of like trial to like showcase our character's strengths. And that's exactly what is happening in this one. We are currently at like an underground battle ring in order to find the best fighters to then go to the academy. I gotta let dog in. At about 100 pages, I can tell you a few things about like the world building and the story and the plot of this. We are essentially following a world where they win political battles by winning like real fighting matches. So let's say they're trying to win this territory. They have 2 champion knights that go from each nation and fight against each other, and the winning party wins that territory. So they settle like all of their issues with fighting. So we also see that like go down the line, and that's why we have these like underground battle ring things, but they're not really underground because like people are choosing their champion knights that then go to the academy through the underground ring, but it's definitely not regulated down there. We follow 2 POVs in this. The first one is an ex-champion knight who he was like one of the best, but he is now retired, and we've definitely seen since his time a lot more greed and corruption happen to the system, and there used to be something called the combat codes, which was like a lot more rules and like had a lot more respect to the fighting than it does now. And he is trying to find someone to kind of follow the old ways to become the next like big champion knight. And so he is searching and searching and searching when he finds her other character, who has a mysterious background that we see bits and pieces of, where he actually knows some of the combat codes and was trained with the combat codes. He is succeeding better than expectations because of this, because the rest of the world doesn't know, in the underground fights. And the first 100 pages, we follow him as he's in one of these like mini training academies. Once you are picked, like you are seen worthy enough of like these underground fights, you are given a trainer and a team, and these trainers are not nice. Our main character is kind of doing things a little bit differently and inspiring some leadership. A lot has happened in this first 100 pages, and I'm really enjoying it. However, I just want to warn everyone, this is the combat codes. There is a lot of combat, a lot of battle in this. So if you're not someone who loves battle scenes, you might not love this. However, I have been known to skim battle scenes before. These battle scenes are really, really well done. Most of the time, they're pretty quick. There's like a lot of them, but they happen pretty quick, and then we see like more plot, and then we see a battle scene. And also the battle scenes do progress the plot due to like the nature of this plot. Also, it is clear that Alexander Darwin is a jiu-jitsu master of some sort. He writes battle scenes that feel very real, well thought out, authentic, kind of like Fonda Lee, as Fonda Lee is like a black belt in karate. When you read the Jade City, when you read the Green Bone Saga, you could tell that those battle scenes were like correct and well thought out and well planned. The same goes for here. You also get to see a lot of like movement names, and I'm really intrigued by what's gonna happen. I'm really intrigued when we get to the academy and where that's gonna go, because I think our main character, again, is a very smart and wise character, and you see him be smart and wise. And this is just something I really, really love about school settings. So I'm gonna keep you updated in a bit. I have a wedding to work today, so I'm leaving the cabin to go to work, and then I'm coming back. I probably won't read a lot today, but hopefully Nick and me are gonna go fishing tomorrow, and I will read on the boat a little bit, because by we go fishing, I mean Nick fishes and I sit on the boat and read and talk to him. My go-to breakfast, it's just a bagel with salami, cucumber, and tomatoes. So good. And cream cheese. And the plan for today is to read a little bit more of this and take the boat out. However, it is really windy outside, so we're gonna see if we can fish at all. We might just be going for a little boat ride. Hi, I'm home now. We did not end up getting to go fishing because there was an issue with the boat, so that kind of sucked, but it's been a couple days now. I honestly haven't read that much of this just because I've had a lot else going on, but I'm 150 pages in now, and I kind of know the magic system, so I kind of wanted to talk about that now, because I actually think it's really cool, and although, yes, it's light on the fantasy, the magic is enough of a part of the world that I think it is counts as fantasy in my opinion. So in this world, oh my god, my hand is sore. Where can I put this down? So in this world, with the whole like battle thing that I told you about, they fight in arenas called circles. These circles are made out of different types of rocks. Depending what rocks they're made out of, they attract these, I kind of think of them as fairies. I forget what they're called. Let me look. They're called spectrals. The different types of alloys in the circle attracts a different spectral. And these spectrals, when you're bathed in their light, have different reactions to humans. For example, we've seen one that makes them overly confident. We've also seen one that makes them more perceptible to commands from the crowd. So I think that's really cool, and how it influences their battles and how they have to learn how to counteract the magic of these spectrals. We also see these spectrals used within the city in order to like help control the people. I actually really think that that's a really cool magic system and very unique, and it does have a blend of sci-fi into it as well. I do really think that this is a sci-fi fantasy hybrid, a little bit more probably leaning towards the sci-fi, but basis of it all so far is actually fantasy, so I would count it as a fantasy. That's all. I actually think it's just like really cool. I really like that element to it. Also, we're about to get to a trial to get into the school academy, and we all know I love a good trial competition setting. Like these two, a school setting with a trial, hand in hand, perfect combination every single time. So I am just over 50% now. I'm on page 250, and we have like literally just made it to the actual school setting, which is the second book in this that doesn't get you to the school setting until like later on in the story. And oh god, this hair, get out. And I have really enjoyed both of the setups of these stories. I feel like I understand my characters quite well. I think it is something I'm really going to enjoy. And specifically in this one, although we weren't at the school, we were still training, so it did still kind of have the vibes of a school setting, and there was like trials and competitions and things happening. So I don't feel like I lost the school setting in like the first 200 pages, if that's what you're reading this for. However, now that we're at the school, so intrigued, like very, very, very much intrigued by what happened in those trials to get into the school, and now that we're in the school, what's going to happen, specifically with like the one other guy that we see who's like the better than our main character. I have predictions on some of these things, and I'm excited to see if they come true or not. Guess what? I finished the combat codes. I really enjoyed this story. I ended up giving it 4 stars, which I think is a really good star rating. I had so much fun with it. I think it's one of the most unique stories that I've read in a while in terms of like world building and the stylistic choices it made to like tell the story. And also the things that matter to the writer in the story I think are very unique, and it comes across in the writing. Not to say that there aren't like typical archetypes and tropes in this. We definitely have a school setting and we have the underdog character at the school setting. There are definitely tropes and archetypes to this, but the actual world building and stuff felt so unique to me, which tends to be something I say whenever I read a sci-fantasy. I love the hybrid genre of sci-fi and fantasy. I think it adds to such a unique element because we don't see it all the time. I count this as fantasy. I stand by the fact that there is enough fantasy in this for me to count it as fantasy. Yes, there are sci-fi and futuristic elements, which yes, it is also sci-fi, but I personally would not have docked marks for this in Spiffbo because I think the little spiritual spectral things were fantasy enough for me. We don't really know their origin. They're said to maybe have been science, but maybe have also been before the science. They felt like magic to me. What they do, their reaction to the stone felt like magic to me. Yes, also sci-fi and techniques and stuff, but I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. I would still read it as fantasy. I really enjoyed it. What else was I gonna say about this? Sometimes I just ramble and I forget where I'm at. This almost got a 5-star for me. I really had to think on this rating and my scores for everything. I ended up giving it a 4-star just because of how fast-paced it is. I had a similar reading experience when I read Ashes of the Sun, where something about the story when I was reading it, I could not put it down. I wanted to continue reading. I was angry when a sprint ended and I had to stop reading. But when I did put the book down, I found it so hard to pick it back up. And not because I wasn't loving the story, but there was just something that was just like making me not pick it up. And I couldn't put my finger on it. I couldn't put my finger on it on Ashes of the Sun either. And Ashes of the Sun is one of my all-time favorite series. So like, it's just this thing that happens, and I think it happens to me in combat books. Like both of these, there is fast pace, a lot of action happening. And sometimes I think that just like dissuades me from reading. But I don't know, because I also loved them and it's something I really enjoy. Really one of the main reasons I didn't give it 5 stars. And then also I do think some of the side characters are weak. Like I don't think the side characters are the author's strong suit. However, I still enjoyed them. It's one of those things where like, okay, I wish that they were stronger, but they're not affecting my enjoyment because they're not. And I'm intrigued to see them become stronger as the author's writing grows and the story grows. Really, I just think that this was such a really cool world setup, and I really enjoyed everywhere it went. I loved the twist and turn at the end. I will say I predicted it at about 50%. I texted Rachel and was like, these are my 2 predictions, and I was right. But that didn't dispel from my own enjoyment, and I have learned that I'm actually pretty good at predicting things, so I don't think most people will predict it. I think it is a twist that was hidden quite well, but also hinted at quite well, which I really enjoy when I think that it's a good balance of both. I think twists should be something that you can figure out on your own, but shouldn't be too obvious. I don't know. I just had a really fun experience with this. I really liked it. I think the martial arts parts of it is really cool, and I don't know. I think what you learn about the world building is cool. I will say the school setting is only the last half, and I wish it kind of taken up more. I'm excited to see the next book and more of the school setting in the next book. The author's note does say the next book expands quite a bit, so I'm excited for that. I cannot wait to get my hands on it. I will definitely be trying to read it as quick as possible. I'm really bad at reading sequels, but I'm going to try to read it as quick as possible whenever it gets out, because I just really need to know what's about to happen in this world. So fun, so unique. I definitely will highly be recommending this to people. I really enjoyed it. Okay, let's move on to the ending clip, which will be me in the same spot in 1 second, but you'll hear a little. We have come to the end of my school setting vlog. I read these 3 books, and I had a great time. This was such a successful vlog. I don't think I've vlogged in a long time where I liked every single book I've read. So we're just here to say that school settings work for me. I don't know what it is. Well, I think little bits of this video have actually told me what it is. I think it has to do with seeing the characters learn and grow, seeing them adapt, seeing who they are. I feel like it helps me understand them quite a bit better. It also helps me understand the world building and gives the author a lot of time to spend on world building, because we can go to a class that's essentially world building 101. Let's learn the history of the world. Let's learn how the magic system works. Definitely enjoyed all of these. My favorite, Will of the Many. This was so good. Chef's Kiss, then The Combat Codes, and then Blood Song. I want to continue on in all three of these, so I think that is a really good sign. I will say The Will of the Many is more a school setting in setting, but not in plot. You do spend time at the school setting, but you're not really there to learn with the character in terms of like skills. You're just there to watch him succeed, and see the school setting just like adds to the world building. Both of these you do definitely learn with the student at the school setting. This one is a little bit less, where this one fully, I think you learn everything with the student, which I think was really cool. I'm very, very excited with like the ending of this vlog and how successful it was. I hope that you read some of these. I think that they're incredible books. I'm really happy with them. I will be recommending them. I'll now be moving on to my next vlog, which is me reading my SPIFBO semi-finalists to choose my finalist. So that's exciting, but I'm really happy with these. I need more school settings in my life. I feel like I've read so many of them, but it's like hard for me to find some. So if you know any, let me know down in the comments below your school setting recommendations. I have not yet read The Name of the Wind, and I know y'all are gonna recommend it, but I just need the third book to be out before I commit to that. But any other school settings, let me know down below. I'm always looking for more, whether a regular school, a magical school, a military school. I just love a school setting. If there's training of some sort, I'm here for it. If you made it all the way to the end of this video and you'd like to leave me an emoji just to say you were here, leave me an apple emoji because you give your teacher an apple. And then if you want to connect with me on other platforms, my Bookstagram, my Book Twitter, my Goodreads, my Patreon are all linked in the description bar below. Have yourselves an absolutely remarkable day.